This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group, and your host of Tonight with Frank Islam. Today, our guest is Riffat Chughtai. Riffat, welcome to our show. Thank you for coming. Tell us a little bit about yourself to this audience.
Sure, Frank. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm delighted. My name is Riffat Chughtai, as you said. I am actually the acting president of PAKPAC. I am a national board member of PAKPAC as well. PAKPAC is the Pakistani American Political Action Committee. I moved to United States in 1981 with my husband and have been here in Pittsburgh since then. Pittsburgh
Mm-hmm.
is Pittsburgh is, as you know, Frank, really has a long history. Having said that, I had the spirit of getting involved in doing something productive for others. Since I was very little, since I was involved in Pakistani politics, even in college. So when I moved over here, I started doing civil action work and civil liberties work, and then moved on to politics. So this is
Oh,
where
good.
I am right now.
Oh, okay. So as I understand, you're the president of the PAKPAC, also known as the Pakistani American PAC. Why do you need a PAC, and what's the purpose of that? And you're trying to copy what the Indians have it too. They also have a PAC too called India PAC. They have US India PAC. They have several other PACs as well. Tell me exactly what the purpose is, what you're doing, what's your mission, what your goals, what your objectives are.
Right. Just want to make one correction that PAKPAC has been in existence for the last since 1989. So there's no replication of any other PAC. But as you know, in the political system in the United States, PACs play a very important role. And so Pakistani Americans also had the foresight to think about it and come up with a PAC. So the mission of PAKPAC is pretty clear. It is about protecting the civil liberties of the Pakistani Americans in the United States and also supporting legislators who support good governance in Pakistan and also support good relations between the United States and Pakistan.
Well, that's a good way to put it. And Pakistan diaspora can help. They can play a pivotal role and vital role to advance the cause of the Pakistani America to the legislators as well. So you have a family, you live in, you have a husband, as you mentioned. How do you balance between your professional life, your personal life? That's a
Well,
tough challenge we all have.
yeah, that question has been asked many times by even my friends that how do you do it? But when you come from the perspective that it needs to be done and it has to be done and somebody has to do it, then you volunteer yourself and say that, okay, fine, this is a much needed productive work. I'm going to do it. If nobody else is doing it, I'm going to do it. So I do balance my strategies. I treat it like a project where I create little boxes of different things that I have to do, the different responsibilities, and it all works out very well. And I always say, I take pride in saying that women have a good way of multitasking and balancing things.
They are pretty good in it. There's no question about that. And we
Right,
need to exploit their fullest potential so they can achieve their potential so they can be the best they can be. I'm a very
right.
strong advocate of the woman empowerment. You're immigrant. You're Pakistani Americans. As you
Yes.
know, I'm very much engaged political activities and civic engagement in the United States. I'm the largest donor to the Democratic Party. And my question to you is, what are the challenges that the immigrant face, especially the Pakistani American, for them to get involved with the politics, with the campaign, and also how do you motivate people to give money to your cause?
Well, this is a very loaded question, but I'll take it one at a time. The
Please do
first
so.
part of your question is pretty much is it much needed? How do you do it? So for that, I would say the reason why we have problems or we face hurdles to mobilize a community is lack of knowledge. Our immigrant populations don't understand the political system over here and the rights we have and how we can get involved and what an impact our voices can make. And that is one of the goals of PAKPAC, that we do train, we do advocacy workshops, and we train the diaspora in how we, even as an individual, can politically motivate others, and not only motivate others, but mobilize our own issues and talk about them. So, it is a tough road, but we have to keep going, and it's a ongoing process.
Okay, so and how do you motivate people to get engaged and also to make sure they contribute to your cause, so your cause will
Well,
endure?
right. We came up with a strategy, and you'll be pleased to know that on purpose we chose our board members from different states and crucial states, very important states. So we have people from Michigan, from Florida, board members from Pennsylvania, from Ohio. So we place them in a position that they become the leaders of their community, and they are the leaders of the community, and they automatically mobilize their community into learning and getting more active in the political system, and also support PAKPAC as an organization which represents them.
Very good. So, what have been your success story? What have you been able to achieve so far, considering the fact that we have a new government in Pakistan, and I hope the democracy will flourish, and I would hope that the new prime minister will become a global beacon of hope and democracy around the globe.
Well, Frank, to begin with, I'll clarify one thing. We are a PAC. We do not work with the Pakistani government. We have nothing to do with them other than being Pakistani Americans and rooting for Imran Khan, who's supposed to be a great leader. And, our number one criterion was that somebody who's not corrupt, and he fulfills that criterion. So everything else will fall in place. Having said that we don't work with the Pakistani government, but we do work with Pakistani Americans. And when we work with Pakistani Americans, we make sure their issues are addressed. And, by default, a lot of the issues that Pakistanis have. Uh-huh.
What are the issues that's important to them in terms of the hostility, the prejudice, then you have a discriminations, then you have a human right, you have minority rights, you have a Muslim banning, list goes on and on.
Right, right. And not just that, Frank. When people ask me what are the issues we should focus on, I tell them, what are your conversations? I just throw the question back to them that, what are the conversations you have at your dinner table? Do you think health insurance is too expensive? And if they say yes, then I said healthcare becomes your issue. If you feel that somebody is not getting immigration in a legal way, in a timely manner, then that immigration becomes your issue. So any issue that you sit at in your living room or dining room and talk about is the issue that we pursue. And that is why we have town hall meetings with community members and our representatives all over the country, where our community members can address their issues directly to their representatives.
Uh, well, so what you're trying to do is creating a common cause, so that which defines the political landscape, and so that you
Right.
can build a country for all, not for selected few, as I understand from
Absolutely.
you, which is the right thing to
Absolutely.
do. So you can have a seat on the table rather than being on the menu, correct?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. So,
do
since
you,
we are all Pakistani Americans, the issues are mainly American issues, other than
well, in
foreign
fact,
foreign policy issues.
you're absolutely right. It does affect the decision made by politicians affects all of us in everyday
Correct.
life. You did mention something about the education part of that and Muslim banning. Can you shed some
Uh,
light on that? How do you go about doing that? And
So
what
we
effect does it
recently,
have? What effect
yeah,
does it have in the Muslim ban on the U.S. economy in terms of GDP
okay.
growth and healthcare?
Okay, I actually read some numbers, some stats from the Census Bureau about how much revenue is generated by immigrants, and it is in billions. It is 2.8
Uh,
billion that is generated
it's
every year, which we might be
it's more
losing.
than that. It's a more than
Yes,
that. It's a close to $6.2 billion a year
correct.
that
Thank
the
you for
immigrants
correcting.
generate.
Yeah,
They are
maybe
the major driver of our
I
GDP growth.
yeah,
They're
maybe I
the
read an
building
old
block
report.
of U.S. economy. Go
Right,
ahead.
right. So, having said that, it is kind of important. We don't call it the Muslim ban. And to answer your question, we recently had a Republican do a town hall for us, and this question was asked of him that why are you supporting the Muslim ban? And he tried to clarify that it is actually not a Muslim ban. Three of the countries that are in that ban and on that list are not Muslims. So our issue was that, okay, even if it is not a Muslim ban, why the ban? Because as you and I just said, there's a huge revenue loss. So the loss is there. So we kind of refrain from calling it a Muslim ban because we don't want to be put in a block as Muslims. We want to fight this immigration battle as Americans, as a battle for all immigrants.
So I just gave a speech at at the JFK Library on the immigration, and I said what President Kennedy said: the immigrants infuse this nation with far horizons and new frontier, thereby keeping the hope alive and well. They are the building block of our economy. They are the engine of our growth, who we are as an American. They represent our value, our character, our conscience of this nation. So that we should call it banning as the Muslims. And the question really is, and we can go on this thing, why certain countries have been banned? Why not Saudi Arabia and some other part of the Gulf country that has not been banned? They selected some country which doesn't make any sense. So they're trying to buy time. So you need to continue to pound on those messages to your Republican friends.
Correct,
So
correct.
their
Yeah.
messages obviously is muddled and completely unjustified and wrong. And they're trying to justify something which is not justifiable.
Maybe we'll invite you to the next town hall when we invite a Republican. So,
Well, I do
to be
that, and
honest,
that's okay.
Pakpak joined us as an organization.
Let
So
me
we do
talk to
it.
you about a couple of important topics to you, Riffat, and thank you for all you do, and thank you for your leadership, and thank you being engaged and involved and well informed. And do you think that the people should run for the office, and do you think they have the ability, the talent, the experience, and the commitment to raise money and ability to be a leader that inspires people?
It's so ironic that you're asking me this question because yesterday I had a huge discussion with one of the people who's running for one of the state representatives office, and I told him that instead of having knee-jerk reactions, we need to work like other PACs do. They groom young people, put them in different campaigns, let them learn the system, let them learn the tricks of the trade, as they are called, and then we mobilize our community into funding them. If we have knee-jerk reaction and say, okay, I'm going to run for office, I'm going to run for office, there's a lot of failure that happens, lots of waste of money as well. So pretty much PAKPAC has taken the lead on this. And right now we have started a campaign called the Fellowship Campaign, where we are placing Pakistani American young people in different campaigns all over the country. And by the grace of God, that is a very successful program for us. And these are the kids that we have handpicked. We have done interviews, we have talked to them, and they learn their motivation. And these are the kids that we are going to groom into being future politicians.
So they will be the hope for tomorrow,
Absolutely.
our young generations, and they will
Absolutely.
have the strength and courage to carry on our voice,
Absolutely.
our values, and who we are as an American. Correct?
Correct. And we want them to be grounded in their culture as well and stay rooted to their heritage, because that is the essence of United States, being an American, that you stay rooted in your culture and your heritage. Not forget that, but be an American.
Okay, very well. So, how do you instill and involve and also in the importance of the political engagement and the civic engagement? I have an institute called Frank Islam 21st Century Civic Engagement Institute, and we talk a lot about how to be get the younger generations involved in the civic engagement. As President Kennedy once said, we get the government that we deserve, and we must fulfill our responsibility to make sure that we vote, to make sure we engage, to make sure we really go out and vote. And ground game, that's important. So how do you motivate those kind of people? Tell us a little bit about that.
So, on a personal level, I have a degree in psychology. And as being part of my civic engagement, I started leadership camps for the youth, for the Muslim youth, and started engaging them in what the situation on the ground was and has been, and what we need to do about it, how to become leaders, future leaders. And starting from there, when I became the president of PAKPAC, the first thing I did was start an advisory council, which comprised of young people between the ages of 22 to 40 who were born and raised over here in this country, and who understood their own issues as being their issues, which are American issues. And that is growing fast. We pick young people who have the passion, who are motivated to do the things that need to be done, and they spearhead their programs. We set up their meetings with young legislators who are also young and understand their issues, and have town halls with just our advisory council members. And that is their motivation. They get to play politics without having to spend the kind of money that is spent to get involved in politics. So it gives them a high. It is really good for the representatives who are also young to see that young Muslim Americans are also passionate about issues and want to be part of the system, political system.
Good. That sounds like a noble cause. So if
Sure.
I was a young person listening to you,
Uh-huh.
Rafat,
Uh-huh.
my question to you is, what kind of a message do you have for me to ensure that I'm politically engaged, I'm actively engaged, I'm civically engaged, and I'm here to make a difference, to have impact, influence on people's lives? What's the message do you give it to them?
That I will listen to you. I will not lecture
Uh,
you. I will listen to you. And
okay, so
that
that's
is what we have been doing. We are giving them the front seat to not only host events, but also sit in our meetings and give us their opinion about things. And we give them as much credence as we give any other board member who's paying a lot of money.
so that's the message. Be the best you can be, correct?
Yes,
And
yes,
learn everything, something new. I call it lifelong learner, correct?
right,
And I would hope
correct.
that I hope they will, when they grow up, Rifat, they help other people to succeed. Remember, when they succeed, all of us succeed. Pakistan succeeds and America succeeds. Correct?
Right, right.
So I'm so glad that you're giving them your heart, your hope, your help to create the next generation so they can help the others when they're successful. So thank you for your time, Rifat, and thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all you do. This is Frank Islam wishing you a great week, and thank you for watching.